Hello everyone, you catch me visiting one of the vast planets in 40k. I think this planet was called Peach or something. I couldn't quite understand the people over all the warnings they told me about. Oh, it looks like it's time for us to go over to the chalkboard now. Before we start our breakdown of the Kroot, I'm only talking about the Kroot themselves and not talking about the meeting of the Tau or their first contact with the Imperium, as I'll tell you all about that when I do the video on the Tau Empire. So let's get into the Kroot. So the Kroot, what are they? The Imperium designated the Kroot as Kroot carnivore. They are intelligent xenos species of savage humanoids who have allied with the Tau Empire. The Kroot have evolved from an avian creature on their home world. They are a tall species, being a good half-meter taller than most humans. From being from an avian species, they have bird-like beaks and long quills protruding from their heads, like hair. Smaller quills, possibly the evolutionary remnants of feathers, can be found scattered over their bodies. A unique feature the Kroot have is that they evolved by selecting genetic traits of their defeated foes to absorb them by eating them. Due to this, the many Kroot warbands across the galaxy often look radically different. The Kroot leaders are called Shapers. These are Kroots that are generally the Kroot with the best abilities for recognizing desirable traits in defeated foes and tell their kindred what to eat to reshape themselves to suit the task at hand. A kindred is the word for a Kroot clan. For example, if a Shaper want the Kroot to gain muscles, then they campaign against the Orcs to acquire suitable DNA for that. If they want wings, then they would hunt a flying predator to allow the Kroot to grow wings. The eating of foes tie in tightly to their religious beliefs, as they believe that after a warrior dies, their warrior spirit should be kept, and the only way to keep it is by consumption of the flesh. The Kroot practice this in their burial customs, in which the body of the deceased is consumed by the kindred. Kroot who hunt a particular species for long enough, they will start to take more characteristics of that creature. For example, if a Kroot eat mainly humans and orcs, they gained more cultural aspects, or if they fed on Drakari, they would become more cunning and intense cruelty, as the Drakari are known for. In the case of animals, they sometimes lead to evolutionary dead ends. A kindred would find itself locked into more animalistic and unintelligent form, and unable to evolve themselves anymore. This could happen if they devour Tyranids, who also absorb DNA of their prey, are hazarded for the Kroot to prey upon, as they may acquire too many undesirable Tyranid characteristics. The Kroot homeworld of Peach include many species of animals that are partly Kroot. This is a result of a kindred's evolutionary missteps. The Kroot use these related creatures as laborers, pack animals, and even as weapons. The most common example are the canine Kroot hounds, the lumbering and powerful ape-like Krookoks, the Norlock riding beast, and the massive, dinosaur-like Great Narlox. Another creature called Kroot Hawk is an animal that the Kroot holds sacred, as it could be their evolutionary ancestor. There are other Kroot subspecies that are considered outcasts in the Kroot society and are killed by the Kroot if found. The Kroot offer themselves as mercenaries and sell their services to anyone willing to pay them. They travel across the galaxy, taking limited contracts from both major and minor intelligent starfaring species, and are regularly employed by Tau. While the contact with Tau is supposed to be an exclusive one, the Kroot regularly send out their war spears to continue their mercenary trade amongst the wider cosmos. It is common for a kindred to have tribal markings painted onto their skin. Kroot mature quickly, with their most rapid period of growth occurring in the first 10 Terran years of their lives. By the age of 12 Terran years, Kroot are considered adults, and it is not unknown for Kroot to live to over 100 Terran years old. Their skin becomes increasingly pitted and leathery in their last years of life. The limited species that have been made available for the study by the Imperial servants and the Magos biologists of the Adeptus Mechanicus have found that Kroot brains are composed of a front and a rear hemisphere. It appears that the larger frontal hemisphere controls the functions of logic, reasoning, and memory, while the rear, less developed hemisphere is more attuned to imagination and creativity. If this is the case, it would explain the pragmatic approach to life of the Kroot and their current technological stagnation. The quills on the Kroot's head is flexible and appears to be part of the Kroot's sensory aptness. These quills contain what seem to be ganglia running from the frontal lobes of the alien's brain, and in this position would be extremely efficient at receiving and interpreting information on the surrounding environment. The olfactory cavity of the Kroot's skull is also enlarged. This is to fit the multiple sense organs within both it and the mouth. Their eyes are without pupils and generally a milky white. It is likely that they are able to see further into the infrared end of the spectrum and can sense the body heat generated by their prey. Therefore, the Kroot make excellent trackers and would be extremely difficult to sneak up on. The Kroot generate little in the way of waste, as their bodies excrete a metabolic waste in the form of a pungent, oily sweat that has a variety of properties depending on what the Kroot has consumed. The most apparent benefits of the sweat is that it seems to be heat retardant to a degree, has antibiotic properties, and can cause a poorly aimed blow to slide clean off. It is suspected that the Kroot can alter the properties of this secretion in order to leave pheromone trails, mark territories, provide warnings to their fellow Kroot, and even communicate with one another through scent. This may also be some form of biochemical control that extends to lower life forms such as other avians and animals, as there is evidence to suggest that the Kroot employ apophic pheromones to prevent such creatures from being startled by them and giving away their position in battle. Combined with this method of communication, the Kroot can learn new languages at an astronomical rate, matching posture and tone to the sound of foreign words in order to discern their meaning. Their own verbal communication is a mixture of clicks and whistles, possibly refined by these pheromone extractions. The technology of the Kroot seemed to be a simple pre-industrial society incapable of achieving powered flight, much less travelling through space. However, Tau observers on Peach have noted evidence that may point to an industrial base hidden on, or even inside some of the planet's mountains. This could be explained by the feasting on the orcs to gain the greenskins' innate ability to construct advanced technology despite a lack of knowledge by using the genetic memory. It's probable that the Kroot deliberately keep their general level of technology used from day to day low, using the most advanced technology only for weapons and interstellar travel to keep their species strong through physical hardship. The primary weapon of the Kroot is a rifle designed from the older weapons called fighting staffs, used by their ancestors. Originally a slug thrower, the weapon was modified by the Tau to fire a charged particle similar to their own pulse rifles, though these rifles are used more in close combat, so are fitted with a blade on the end of the barrel. The Kroot also employ a weapon called the Kroot gun. This weapon is unwieldy for a single Kroot to handle, so it's mounted on the backs of Krootoks. Another rifle the Kroot have is the Kroot hunting rifle, which is more of a sniper rifle than the standard Kroot rifle. The Kroot have gathered weapons from other intelligent species and from battlefields they've been to. These weapons include the splinter pistols, various close combat weapons, and their two-handed cousins, like the splinter rifle from the Drakari, the slug and the shooter from the orcs, the shuriken catapult and pistol from the Eldari, and they have collected a lot from the Imperial forces that include bolt pistols, power weapons, storm bolters, flamers, plasma guns, and mounter guns. Kroot may also possess the Imperial war gears, including frag grenades, crack grenades, mounter bombs, Allspec sensors, and even orc totems. Moving on, I'm going to briefly go over the documented life forms on this planet. Starting this off is the Kroot carnivore and are the basic infantry for the Kroot. These are essentially just the baseline Kroot phenotype described above. As mentioned previous in the video, these guys have the ability to absorb characteristic traits from the food or remains of any enemy they consume. These Kroot have been known to be tainted by chaos if they devour the flesh of those who serve the ruinous powers. Next is the Kroot hounds. This is an example of Kroot who have reached an evolutionary dead end and have evolved into a quadrupedal, canine-like Kroot, with only the barest glimmer of sentience. Krootox, like the Kroot hound, is another evolutionary dead end. Though instead of being a canine, the Krootox are more ape-like and are usually used to carry heavy burdens because of its immense strength. It has been noted by Tao on the planet that an angry Krootox is something to avoid. Mentioned in the last section, Krootox are used to carry a Kroot gun on its back and provide heavy firepower to any group that has these apes. On this planet lives a creature that rivals the dinosaurs in size. This creature is called the Great Norlock. These behemoths have a similar appearance to the smaller Norlocks. The Great Norlock are much bigger and faster, resembling that of a Tyrannosaurus rex. These beasts are very difficult to control and are goaded into combat by trained Kroot handlers. Now, lastly, of the known species of Unpeach is called Narlock, and are the smaller relatives of the Great Narlock. They are smaller in size and work more as a team, unlike the larger solitary relatives. The term Narlock actually covers a wide variety of creatures, all exhibiting similar anatomical characteristics and habits. Some, for example, are broad and muscular and lack the clawed forearms that others display, while some are taller and lean. All of these versions are highly prized by the Kroot. The hunting tactics of the Narlock are that of ambushing and long-distance pursuit techniques to run their prey to the ground. They work together in groups of up to 10, including their young, and have developed a significantly greater brain-to-body ratio, allowing them to attack any size of prey native to their world. Kroot are known to capture and raise Narlock young to form elite mounted units. They mainly make use of their razor claws, sharp beaks, and powerful leg muscles to rip apart their prey. The Kroot riding them carry Kroot rifles to fire from advantage positions to which the Narlock can deliver the Kroot. It is also seen as a social statement to be riding a Narlock. Well then, that was the Kroot for you. I hope you all enjoyed your time on Peach. Now then, I must go and look for where I left my ship.